Replay of that last interception by Malachi starts for the University of Georgia. Georgia 42, Florida State 3, and, very, very disappointing. Let me take care of that a little bit. Georgia, 42, Florida State 3. Wow. What can you say? Georgia came to play, and, it's just really this is kinda tough to watch, to be honest with you. Florida State had a great season. They deserve better than this. Uh, so many players, that they had opted out, and, some went into the transfer portal, some not playing. You had some guys injured. Florida State pretty much decimated, by all of that activity where players could not play. They are the shell of the team that went undefeated, during, the regular season. So you kinda just even though you're a Georgia, Bulldog football fan and you're very pleased with the halftime score, obviously, that Georgia winning, 42-3, you gotta feel Hey, John, how you doing, my man? Happy New Year to you too. You gotta feel for, the Florida State Seminoles, and you gotta feel for their fans. This is not the Florida State team that went undefeated and won the ACC championship and had a rightful claim to be in the college, football, playoffs. Be decimated by all of the roster activity. Obviously not the team that, went undefeated. Boy, this is to be honest with you, I'm a big Georgia Bulldog fan, obviously, of course. But this is kinda hard to watch, to be honest with you. Now, on the other side of the ball, Georgia's clicking, just offensively, defensively, everything is working. Jason says, "Nah, we're definitely not one of the 4 best teams in the country," and I sense the sarcasm, that, is coming with that post. Obviously, Georgia is one of the best teams in the country. Obviously, Georgia should have been in the playoffs. It was my feeling early on that this game should have somehow, some way be incorporated. You should have had 6 teams in the playoffs, and this game should have been incorporated into the playoff system. You would have a very different situation going on right now. This is really not fair to the Orange Bowl. It's not fair to Florida State, and to be honest with you, it's not fair to the University of Georgia. Georgia wants to win. Georgia will win, obviously, this game. Coach Smart will empty the bench in this game, which will be kind of a cool thing for a lot of the guys on the roster. They'll have the opportunity to say they played in the Orange Bowl. But, this is just not good. I don't think this is good for college football. Hey, Sherrod, how you doing, from Virginia? Good to, have you, with us. Um, if it would John makes the point, that maybe if we got some better calls, we might be in the college football playoffs. Yeah, I know. Let's take a look at the halftime statistics, of this game, and, see where we are. Just a monster first half in every way for the University of Georgia. Carson Beck, 13 of 18, 200 and, 3 yards and 2 touchdowns. Glenn, the, quarterback for, FSU, 7 of 22, 121 yards, doing his best, bless his heart. Kendall Milton, what a first half for Kendall. 9 carries, 104 yards. And Dylan Bell, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Dylan Bell, what a first half for Dylan. 4 receptions and 84 yards. Georgia has 20 first downs as to, 10 for, FSU. Georgia has 383 total yards already in this game. FSU has 185. Georgia with 203 yards passing. Florida State with 128 yards passing. Georgia with 180 yards rushing. Florida State with 57 yards rushing. And Georgia just dominating this game. Taking a look at some of the individual statistics, Bruce Spann came in and played quarterback for Florida State, taking Brock Glenn's place. Georgia, Milton has 104 yards. Dejon Edwards, 59 yards rushing. Ladd McConkey, 27 yards rushing, on that trick kind of play. Dominic Lovett, 3 receptions, 38 yards. Oscar Delp, 3 receptions, 31 yards. McConkey has a reception, 22 yards. Interceptions, Malachi Starks, 1 interception. Um, so that's pretty well the stats. Georgia just dominating, this game. So what do you think about this game? Um, hey, Gene, how you doing? I know we're all excited. Largest halftime lead, um, that, ever is that right? I don't know. It sounds like it is. It's gotta be up there with, it has to be up there with, the one of the largest halftime leads ever, for the University of Georgia. Just checking some of your comments. Barry, 4 in the playoffs. You got lucky you didn't play us. The committee clearly got it wrong with Georgia. So what do you think about, after watching this game, so what do you think about and by the way, some of the scores, I know you guys are up to date on the scores, but some of the scores we'll comment on a little bit. Um, Toledo's beating Wyoming at the moment, 10-6. That's in what kind of bowl is that? I don't even that's the Arizona Bowl. Um, Ole Miss beat Penn State earlier today, SEC over Big Ten, 38-25. Entertaining game. Maryland took out Auburn. What in the world with Auburn? I mean, seriously. 31-13, Maryland beating Auburn in the Music City Bowl. Very disappointing ending, for, Auburn University. Let's see, Wisconsin and LSU, that's Monday. And we'll talk about those championship games, those playoff games in a moment. What an entertaining game between Clemson and Kentucky yesterday. Kentucky just gave that game away with the, turnovers. Clemson winning, 38-35. Notre Dame winning big over Oregon State in, that bowl game. How about Missouri? You go, Missouri. I tell you what, Missouri is a very good football team. The Missouri Tigers are a top-notch football, team, and they took out Ohio State 14-3. Can you believe Ohio State did not score a touchdown? Ohio State did not score a touchdown in that game. That's pretty unbelievable. But Missouri, a very, very good, football team. So let's talk a little bit about, this game pretty much is, well in hand. Talk a little bit about the championship games coming up. And now on Monday at 5 o'clock, they have Alabama and Michigan. That's in the Rose Bowl, of course, out in, Pasadena, California. Alabama and Michigan. I just gotta be honest with you. I think Alabama's gonna dominate this game. I'm not sold on Michigan. Um, I'm just not. I think Alabama is the much better team, and I don't know what the final scores are going to be, obviously, don't know, and I'm not really gonna make a prediction, for a score in that game, but I believe Alabama's gonna win that game by 3 touchdowns at least. I just maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm an SEC bias kinda guy, but I think Alabama is that much better than Michigan. I really do. I think there's a lot of hype around Michigan, and, I don't see Michigan winning that game. Now, I may be completely wrong, I've been wrong in the past, but I think Alabama's gonna really roll over Michigan. Texas and Washington, I think that's gonna be an entertaining game. That's in the Sugar Bowl, obviously, from New Orleans. I'm gonna take Texas in that game, and so for me, in the championship game, you have Alabama and Texas, replay of the first game of the season for those teams, and I think Alabama's gonna beat, um, Texas and win the national championship. Now, Barry's got Texas winning, and so, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Um, I just, wow. It's gonna be entertaining to watch. It's gonna be disappointing, of course, for Georgia not to be in the mix of that. It's just gonna be, very disappointing, with this what's happening today in this bowl game. It's obviously I think I don't know if the coaching staff I'm sure the coaching staff has not communicated this to, the players that we wanna make a statement with this game. But I gotta believe the players. You know how players are. I've gotta believe the players are have huddled among themselves before this game and and maybe, they won't say publicly, but I just think the players say, "Hey, we're gonna make a statement that we're one of the best 4 teams in the country, and we should have been in the playoffs." Georgia will win this game, obviously, convincingly. So what does that mean, when everything is, said and done, and you have 2 teams that lose in the, top 4? Um, will Georgia then move into the top 4? Absolutely. In fact, after this performance today, to be honest with you, I can see Georgia maybe, finishing the season as high as number 2 in the country. It could be. Now, more likely number 3 in the country in the final, CFA, CFP poll. You say, "Well, what difference does it make?" And it really in the stretch of things, it doesn't make a lot of difference, to a lot of people, but, you wanna finish as high as possible. I was looking over the, portal information, and I haven't seen any other information about, any Georgia picking up any players out of the, portal, but I've been, kinda studying a little bit on the guys that Georgia has, picked up. Trevor Etienne from, Florida. I gotta tell you, that's a big get for Georgia, for the running back room. He's a good running back, um, and that's a big get for Georgia. And then Colby Young, the wide receiver coming from the University of Miami, that just adds to a very deep receiver room. Xavier McLeod, the, big, defensive lineman, from, South Carolina, that is a big get for Georgia. And then London Humphrey, the, wide receiver transferring, from Vanderbilt to Georgia, that's a big get as well. Georgia's done very well in the portal. There was one thing I noticed after, signing day, signing day, and Georgia had the number 1 team in the country, number 1 recruiting, team in the country, finished number 1 in all of the recruiting services. USA Today, I happened to look at USA Today, and they had their winners and losers for recruiting day, and they had Georgia as a loser because Dylan Raiola didn't sign with Georgia, he flipped to Nebraska. And I'm scratching my head and I'm saying, "Seriously, dude, seriously? You're gonna put Georgia as a loser because they didn't get that, Dylan Raiola?" And after studying perhaps the person nothing against Dylan Raiola, but studying his personality and I don't know. Georgia, to be honest with you, Georgia may be better off without him. Puglisi is a good quarterback. But, what do they got? We have a halftime entertainment at the Orange Bowl. Who in the world is that? Somebody out of my league. Let's see. Jason Evans, win for the seniors. Absolutely. It'll be the 50th win, for, the, seniors tonight. 50 wins in 4 seasons. I gotta tell you, that's pretty good. John Provo, happy New Year, go Dogs. Who cares? We weren't in the playoffs. Yeah, I know. Committee got it wrong. FSU may have players go in the portal at halftime. Scott Wood makes that point. Yeah, okay, yeah, I know. Brandon Sharp, let's hang 80 on him. All right. My dear bride, bless her heart, she's a peripheral college football fan. When a game gets like this and, one team is really dominating the other and, hopefully it's Georgia dominating the other, she always makes the point, "Well, I hope they don't beat them too bad and make them," but us guys say, hang 80 on them. We don't so we'll see. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a lot obviously, we're gonna see a lot of the guys, who normally are on the bench, they'll be playing. ESPN wants the SEC to win it, according to Barry, yeah. ESPN picks up ESPN picks up SEC broadcast, and ABC picks up the or SEC broadcast next season, picking it up from, CBS. So, what do you think about that? Good riddance to that. Barry has Michigan and Texas in the championship game. He thinks, Michigan's gonna beat, Alabama. Okay, yeah, good. Let's see. Ohio State University was wide left of the end zone. Yeah, I know. Jason is pulling for Washington as the underdog. You know, I'm picking Alabama to win the thing, but to be honest with you, I don't care who wins, but it's fun to watch, and I'm just a college football fan. I mean, I watched what was that, the Pop-Tart Bowl, for heaven's sake? I even watched that thing, the other night, and then they had the edible mascot. I just what a world we're living in the college football. Um, yeah, just looking over some of your comments. FSU playing the practice team. That's about all they have left, to be honest with you. Now, Coach Norville. Now listen, Coach Norville's a good guy. He's a solid guy. He's a good football coach. Um, and so what do you tell your team when you're behind, so far behind, at, halftime? What do you go in and you tell your team when you're behind 42-3 at halftime? You try to pump them up, individually, and, you say you have a plan for the second half. Say, "Okay, 40 we're gonna go out there and we're gonna win the 3rd quarter, and we're gonna win the 4th quarter. We may not win the game, but we're gonna win the second half." You know? Where does Brock Bowers go in the NFL? I don't know. He won't be. I think it'll be a top 10 pick, to be honest with you. I really do. Don't you? Don't you think it'll be a top 10 pick? Um, he's a very good player, very versatile player, strong player, good hands, a good, blocker. He can block. Um, I would think Brock Bowers probably somebody there's an offense out there looking for a strong, tight end, and the tight end is very important in, pro style offenses, for a lot of reasons, for pass catching ability and for blocking. I would think Brock Bowers would be a top 10 pick. I really do. Be kind of interesting and then you're gonna go through the, NFL combine, the pro days. You're gonna have some guys' stock go up and some guys' stock go down and all of that process. But I think with Brock Bowers being the solid man that he is, as far as character is concerned and with the ability he has, I can see Brock Bowers being a top 10 pick, in the, NFL. It just depends on, what team sees him as a particular, person that they need, a player that they need to, to go in, on their team. Who was that halftime guy? I don't know. I didn't see, but that's interesting. So guys, there we are. That's where we stand, 42-3. Now my prediction was, Bowers is, Brian, I agree. He's an all-around good guy. I had the opportunity just, on the peripheral, be up close and personal, and he's just a solid guy. He's just a guy. These young men who play college football, they get kind of to be bigger than life to us. They're just kids. These are kids. These are young men. They enjoy what they're doing. Um, some of them are more mature than others. Brock is a very mature young man. Um, yeah, it's something. So, I predicted that, Georgia would win this game 34-7. That obviously is, you know, uh, I'm well below, what it's actually gonna be. I think Kirby's not gonna say, "Hey, guys, don't score." But, I would imagine you'll see, the starters, for Georgia, start the second half, maybe for a series or 2, and then you're gonna see Gunnar Stockton, come in at, quarterback. It could have been Brock Vandergrift, but he's now, with the University of Kentucky, and, don't wish him ill will at all. I mean, go Brock, have a great career, except when you play against Georgia. Um, so we're gonna see Gunnar Stockton. It'd be kinda cool, to be honest with you, if somehow, some way, and I know it's not possible, to see Ryan Puglisi, the quarterback, signee for the University of Georgia. I know you can't do it, but that'd be cool to see him, suit up and play, in this game. By the way, reports about Ryan Puglisi, the, quarterback that Georgia signed from New England are just all positive. He's a positive guy, good guy, and, has a lot of skills. So, that's at halftime. We'll be back at the end of the game to get your comments on, the game, how everything went for Georgia. It's going pretty good right now, and, we'll see how it goes here in the second half. And so at the end of the game, we'll check back in with you. And of course, we always close our time together with these wonderful words. Go Dogs.